Hello and welcome to Scrutiny. I'm Edward Rooney. The casualties were swiftly identified after the Labour Party lost the reins of power last election. Now we have Phil Goff as leader of the opposition and union leader Andew Little as party president. The new president of the Labour Party joins us. Welcome, Andrew. All right, is congratulations the right word for getting this job at the moment?
Oh, I think it is. I think the party is. It's been a very important part of the fabric of New Zealand politics for nearly 95 years now. Made an important contribution, and it's a real privilege to be the president of the party. It's always challenging, of course, when you come out of an election defeat. But the funny thing is that as I get around meetings of the branches of the party, as I have in the last few months, is detecting there is a very good spirit, very high morale in the party. It's not like a usual election defeat where people feel dispirited and demoralised. So I think we have a good starting point. Obviously, a bit of work to do to learn from the election defeat and the last 9 years, but I'm confident that we're in good position.
Right. Is there a warning in the fact that there was no one else applied for the job?
Well, I mean, there's two ways of interpreting it, of course. It's the poison chalice and nobody else wants it, or that people have got sufficient confidence in me and didn't put themselves forward. But either way, I mean, I'm in the job now, so I don't have much of a choice, and I'm looking forward to the challenges that are there.
Has the former president, Mike Williams, offered any advice, like don't take cheques from Owen Glenn or anything like that?
He hasn't been that specific, but I've had a few sessions with Mike, both before I was elected and one since, and he's been very supportive throughout. But Mike did the job in a different way than I intended to do it. He did a lot more, I think, than is expected of the role of president. I intend to take very much a chairman of the board role. I see my job as dealing with those issues that need to be dealt with inside the organisation. We'll have other people who are focusing on different aspects, the fundraising and so on. But Mike has been a very good president of the party for 8 years, and he leaves a very good legacy in terms of the organisation.
Is that a concession that he got involved in areas that he shouldn't have as a party president?
Oh, I'm not suggesting that at all. He did the role of party president. He did other things for the party, and they were under different arrangements, although acknowledging he was party president. But there were things he did that weren't part of the role of president, and I think it's interesting hearing a lot of the comments from people saying, oh, how can you do two jobs? Well, actually the role of party president, as it is with other political parties, is a chairman of the board role. It's not a do as much as you can type of role. Mike had time on his hands to do it. I don't, but I will be doing the core role of a party president.
So will you be hands-on in soliciting donations?
I don't expect it to be. Obviously, I mean, in my other role as EPMU secretary, I deal with a lot of employers, a lot of large corporates, and it would be simply wrong and unprincipled of me to confuse those two roles. I don't think our members would be too pleased about that. So I don't intend to do that. No doubt there'll be plenty of fundraising functions, open and transparent. I'll certainly be participating in those. But I don't intend to do a lot of that old-fashioned fundraising type, putting the hand out to the large corporates. I am very keen to see the party take on new approaches to fundraising, and particularly the sort of small donations from a lot of people over a longer period of time type of fundraising. I'm keen to see us develop structures around that sort of approach.
Does there need to be more transparency in the area of fundraising by political parties, in your view?
I think it's a healthy thing. I think one of the debates behind the Electoral Finance Act, of course, was about transparency. I'm a big fan of that. It's certainly my personal approach I like to think, to everything I do, so that people know who's behind us, who's behind the party. There are corporates who donate to more than one political party. I think that's a perfectly healthy thing. I know, however, there are plenty of corporates that, with high levels of transparency, would be reluctant to or wouldn't contribute. And at some point, we are going to have to get that right about the transparency or the funding of political parties. But I err on the favour of openness and transparency.
Okay. Do you concur with Phil Goff that Labor needs to reconnect with its roots and lose some of the nanny state reputation that it got towards the end?
certainly the feedback I've had for some time, certainly before I've had the role and since, is that the party had lost contact with some of its core people, its core constituency. If you have a look at the election result for 2008, you will see in some of the areas that are stronghold Labor areas like South Auckland, like Christchurch, and Auckland Central, where the Labor vote just didn't get out. And I think there was a number of things about that. People were a little bit disillusioned, a bit disenfranchised, and perhaps a little confused too about what was on offer. You had a very creditable leader of the National Party. You had the National Party saying they'd leave much of what Labor had done untouched, and people thought, well, they're not going to make any big changes, but I'm not sure I necessarily want to give my vote to them, so I just won't vote. And I think the other comment is people thought, well, this is a party that's been in government and it's starting to interfere in me and my life and my family, so I'm not comfortable with that. No, I think the party has started that dialogue and that reconnection. We've got a long way to go, but yes, I think that is very important for us to do that.
Okay. There's been this criticism of the two jobs the roles that you have. Is it possible that they could become too much for one person? I mean, there's a time of turmoil for the people that are members of your union, and you're at the head of a party which at any point could get involved in something that takes a lot of your time. I mean, realistically, is it too much? And could it become too much? Could you see it becoming too much?
I don't foresee that. Again, I say that the approach I intend to take is very much achievement of the board role. My role will be internally focused. We have to deal with some of those internal issues. I will deal with people internally. The political aspects of it, the preserve of the parliamentary wing of the party. That's Phil Goff and his team, and he will do that. And yes, there's no question the union, my union role is very busy. I spend a lot of time meeting with or talking to employers, large and small, about the situation, and certainly my working day has become longer and working week has become longer, but you know, I headed up the EPMU at a time and led through some quite significant change inside the union, and they were long days, they were tough weeks, they were tough times. So and we've been through those changes. I am very confident that I've got the time and the stamina to see through both roles. Again, I will be limited in the functions that I would take up for the Labor Party. The good thing about the EPMU is the state that it's in, the quality of the people we've got. I do delegate a lot more, and you know, I was never going to be in the EPMU role forever. So the role, the succession planning and the paving the way for the next generation of its leadership is well underway, and I will continue to do that role of making sure that the EPMU